Welcome back to Radio Taiwan International. You're listening to Geek Out. What's your cup of tea, tickles your fancy, or floats your boat? Join us as we share passions from people in Taiwan and around the world. I'm your host, Michelle Chang, and today in the studio we have back Sarah and Naia. Say hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
We haven't left. We're just still in here.
Yeah. It's a whole thing.
I'm still here.
We're still here.
Yes, 2 episodes back to back. What are we geeking about this time?
I'm a video gamer at heart, and I've spent a lot of time in a little video game called EVE Online.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would love to geek out about that today.
Yay. Were you always like a gamer?
When I was growing up, video games were not cool. Yeah, I'm showing my age a little bit here, but like when I was really, really young, single-digit numbers, video games were not cool. They were like the geeks.
Did you grow up here in Taiwan?
I was born in Taiwan, but I mostly grew up in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
So like growing up, video games were not cool. They were like nerd stuff and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But now, decades later, like video games are super cool, and like everybody wants in. Oh my god, so many companies want our money and marketing. Like, oh hey, this is a video game drink. This is a video game snack.
Yeah, I don't know how many billion-dollar industry.
Yeah. So, yeah.
How does that feel being like,
pandered to?
well, just like the original cool person?
Yeah, I know. It feels like
Validate.
yeah, I'm one of the founding members of the club, but it's like all these new people coming in. I don't know who they are. I feel like an old fogey, and this is like, oh, these new people coming in. Oh, they don't know the history and how we were like kind of made fun of and not really the cool kids.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, just everyone is in the club.
Yeah, I hail from, I remember the days when the first Nintendo came out, and Duck Hunt and Super Mario. That was
Yeah.
the first one that came with the console that you had to blow on the cartridges.
Yeah, I know.
So yes, I remember the OG days. I have to admit, the Wii is when I pretty much, it got to the point where the learning curve was very, very steep.
Right.
And I have very poor hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
So,
That.
The Wii was like a big turning point.
Yeah, the Wii was one of the big turning points. But growing up, video games were an escape from reality.
Yes.
Like growing up in Asian family, being as harsh and as structured as it is. Honestly, I think my parents were pretty cool in the sense of allowing me to play video games. But it was always, hey, you're playing video games too much. Come back to reality. Which again, it's a healthy thing. But like part of my obsession with video games, I think, comes with a sense of just escaping into another reality. Something I can control directly with my own 2 hands.
yes.
So yeah, I think the PS2 era was like the glory days of like everything kind of like also blowing up, playing so much video games then and developing my own like sense of identity when it comes to which kind of video games I like.
Yeah.
This idea that it's unhealthy. I think that humans do things that make sense given the context of their experiences. And if somebody really needs to escape from daily life, from reality, quote unquote, that much that they're pouring their soul into these virtual worlds, then the reality that is being created for them by the adults around the child is not a suitable reality. That is not your responsibility, and it's not wrong at all to pour yourself into there. Obviously, it can be harmful to things like daily rhythms, but
I do agree in that sense where it's like the amount of structure, the amount of rigidness growing up is like, okay, I need this sort of escape valve to like release the pressure or, it's definitely, I need this right now. But then also the discipline of saying, okay, that is 3 hours or 4 hours per day. That is kind of enough. But then I do agree with you, Naia, the responsibility of the adults to be like, okay, this is becoming a problem. Why is my child trying to escape this reality so much? And then we need to find a way to manage that and not just like saying, okay, hey, don't do that anymore.
Self-awareness, intentionality.
yes.
As we mentioned in our last episode. What kind of adjustments can I make to this child's life, rhythm, environment to make it so that they don't feel the need to escape? Do you remember any of your favorites growing up that kind of narrowed your preference on what kind of genre?
Even now, I've always been fascinated by MMOs and MMORPGs when you play like with other people.
For, layman, that stands for?
Massively multiplayer online games, MMOGs, or if you want to go into, for example, World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV, they're called massively multiplayer online role-playing games, MMORPGs. It's a mouthful, but yeah, that's like,
That's
hey,
why.
nerds like their acronyms and stuff like that. Now, like everything has a multiplayer component.
True.
Yeah, but like back then, playing with another person around the world was like such a novel thing, something that's never really happened before. Growing up, trying to relate to people around me, was quite difficult. And this challenge was always a lot of just like not fitting in, not having a lot of friends.
Yes.
And
childhood in many Asian countries, East Asian countries or otherwise, is difficult when it comes to the socialization aspect. Like you're not just allowed to go out in the neighborhood and play.
Yeah.
That's not something that kids are allowed to do.
Yeah.
So
I have a question. What childhood?
No.
What childhood? Yeah, exactly.
Is that childhood?
Snap.
Yeah.
That's not childhood.
Yeah. As a teacher looking at these kids who are just in bushibans,
Oh
cram
yeah,
schools,
bushibans.
until like 10 p.m. at night, I did ask that question. It's like, what childhood?
Yeah. Like, I guess that's part of the reason why a lot of the adults in a lot of Asian societies kind of act like children sometimes.
Oh yeah, the level of average emotional maturity that I see in East Asian countries is abysmal. Like, and that's not criticism. That's just like
That's just an observation.
An observation, yeah.
yeah. Like I mean, obviously other things are stronger. The emotional maturity aspect needs a lot of work.
It needs a lot of, I think the inner children of many, many people need a lot of healing.
Yeah.
Something I notice about you, Sarah, is that you are very level-headed. You're very able to communicate and hold space for people of many different backgrounds who speak many different languages. And I don't mean literal languages. I mean like
Different methods of communication.
communicate more loudly, more directly, more indirectly, more subtly. And I wonder how your interactions with lots of different kinds of people around the world
Stem
at
from
an early age, if that's connected at all.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. And I think that's definitely been influenced by a lot with my experiences online, playing online games. It was always a sense of, hey, I'm interacting with someone around the world. Back then I was super young, like interacting with like 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, sometimes like the geeky nerds, like talking about their favorite subjects and stuff like that. And I developed that skill of like communicating with so many people
from different
backgrounds,
yeah.
different ethnicities, different places around the world in general, like just different people. I've met like all sorts of like really, really fascinating people playing video games, and now I'm actually pretty proud to say that if I were to like travel anywhere, especially in Europe, like that's a bit of a sneak peek going into EVE Online a bit later.
Ooh.
But yeah, if I was able to like travel around Europe, I think I would be able to find a couch to crash on basically anywhere in Europe. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? I don't play video games that have community, but I am on Discord playing stuff like Dungeons and Dragons or streaming, right? And that's something that's happened recently that I'm very, very excited about. The level of connection of people all around the world, regardless of country background, is amazing.
Yeah.
And I hope that's happening in many other, not just things that are nerdy.
Yeah. The internet has been like a catalyst of the modern age, and it doesn't matter like what kind of hobby or passion you're into. If you're into sound and light, like Naia is, just like talk to someone on the internet, talk to someone on Reddit, talk to someone Discord, talk to someone like everywhere.
There's plenty of people who are also interested in the same things.
And like language tools being so sophisticated and much more reliable now also makes that possible in that sense. So whenever you're interacting with someone around the world, it's like, okay, it's not like novel anymore, but it's still like a special experience, a special connection that you're having with someone else. Growing up as a kid, I would be like, okay, I'm not like gaming today because I have some stuff to do, but I want to hang out with my friends. I want to talk to them. I want to see like what kind of crazy things they've
hear about what's going on.
Yeah, like I live in Southeast Asia. It's like, oh, I'm talking to this 40-year-old guy in Maine, for example, and just him describing his life with his dogs and children and wife, and me just like kind of painting the picture of that in my head and imagining, oh my God, the things that are happening over there right now.
See, that example that you described there would be a lot of Asian parents' like worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Why is my kid talking to these 40-year-old men from Maine,
Yeah.
And I'm curious about your perspective there.
Yeah, obviously there is a risk of, especially children, I was way too young to be on the internet in that sense.
And thankfully that guy wasn't creepy.
Yeah, thankfully. It's like, hey, there are many, many ways this could have gone wrong. And I think I was like pretty lucky to be not
taken advantage
of or things like that. Yeah. But it's also a risk that some people might have to take in order to like kind of step out of that comfort zone that many people, especially like their parents, find themselves in. It's also the responsibility of the parents to be monitoring the safe boundary zones, where the child is feeling comfortable and stuff like that. But in that sense, I would also say like, hey, like these conversations sometimes need to happen for the child to see what is possible around the world. Basically even something as simple as building empathy for other people who may be struggling or things like that. Like I've been part of conversations that were not age appropriate.
Oh, totally not.
When I was quite a bit younger, but that might be something you want to experience.
It might need to happen.
What is age appropriate? Age appropriate according to whom?
Exactly.
The world is not age appropriate.
I identify as Gen X, the free range kids. We had no supervision growing up, and that included our free range kids, totally cage free kids. But we were the first on the internet, and my parents had no idea who I was talking to, and I did actually stumble across many creepy people, very like age inappropriate, I guess. But there's pros and cons to things, and for a kid who is encountering somebody whom they really shouldn't have encountered, we learn from it. It's like there are bad people in the world, and how do I adjust myself to be safe accordingly. So every time a kid encounters a challenge, they learn how to overcome said challenge or obstacle, hopefully, and that is a part of growing up. And that's why, in my personal opinion, helicopter parenting is not great, because it prevents kids from experiencing these challenges.
And like preventing kids like experiencing these particular challenges, these particular kinds of like, maybe even just awkwardness. After growing up, they'll be like, okay, I don't have experience doing with this. What do I do? Revert to what my parents said, and be like, oh, shut down, or just like completely just don't respond, or just
not able to
handle
those
situations.
On the flip side, unfortunately, people who come out of very frequent challenges in their developmental years, they actually do become very resourceful, flexible, adaptable people, because they've had, unfortunately, negative experiences. So, but back to the subject of EVE Online, I'm fascinated. So please explain this game. Like, tell us about it.
Building up on what I said previously about growing up and really, really liking MMORPGs, MMOs in general, I was also really into sci-fi. Because imagining like worlds that could be possible, like alien species and technologies beyond our imagination.
So cool.
Yeah, and so I read about this video game called EVE Online just by browsing like forums and stuff like that, and it immediately like hit me as like, oh hey, it's a spaceship. I love spaceships, spaceships and space in general. I got into it when I was, I think, around like 15, 16-ish, like around that age range. Well, to talk about EVE Online in general, it's a video game developed by Icelandic people. The headquarters is based in Iceland.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
what's up with Iceland and video games?
I know, right? It's such an interesting thing. Such like a small population, and then they're well known for their video games.
Maybe it's too cold outside.
Yeah, something like that, maybe. But yeah, like going back to EVE Online, it is basically a full PvP playing player versus player. People can kill each other in the video game very, very easily. And it is a very, very sandboxy MMO. And sandboxy meaning like there are no rails. There's no like overarching story for you to go through. You just play with the game and interact with the environment as you see fit. So like a story-based game, for example, or a more structured game would be like Mario, where you play like levels and you go through them and you face the boss and stuff like that. But EVE Online as an MMO is like very, very free range and very, very non-structured. You can do anything that
you want to do.
You want to do, basically, It's very, very infamous for being very hands-off with, people like lying to each other, cheating each other, and being very, very political. It's a very political game. People take the game very, very seriously, so I kind of have to be very careful with that is what I say sometimes, because not for like any weird reason, but it's just if I say something wrong, my name will be on the headlines of like Reddit. Oh hey, this player talked about us.
So when I was I was a gamer, but I played mostly like RPGs and never really dabbled in MMOs. But, on all of the online communities that I was in, EVE Online was always considered to be, like, the most hardcore, with the steepest learning curve, where, like, people would build entire careers in this game. And that always fascinated me.
I need more picture painting, because consider me a layman. So basically, it's like a Star Trek or Star Wars type of environment where you spawn, and then you can do what you want. So you find a job.
So basically, like in EVE Online,
I don't know.
Find a job.
No, like honestly, you're on the right track here. So basically, like for example, The new player experience has been changed like quite a lot over the past decade or so.
Okay.
But like when I started, like, you were in a ship, you go through the very basic tutorial of how like the basic game mechanics work.
Okay.
And then, hey, you're free to do whatever you want with
Okay.
it. So like the main reason why people play the game in general is the community behind it.
Of course.
Because there's no really overarching story that you play through, and like, you spawn into the world with a really basic ship, and it's up to you to do what you want with the world that you are given. And because there are no levels in the game, there are like skill points you can assign to like specific skills. For
Okay.
example, mining. You're very, very good at mining, for example. The skill point system encourages like specialization kind of way. The limit of your resource is time, and you want to put the time spent learning these skill points into things that you want to do, and you're rewarded for being very specialized in something. So a lot of people play the game for the community, like obviously that's number one, and also the sense of the realism it brings. Because in the game, the economy works like this. For a lot of like MMOs, for a lot of MMORPGs in general, what you do is you go around killing NPCs, you collect loot, and then the loot is yours. No way to like trade and stuff like that, because the economy is kind of managed in that way. But in EVE Online, only the very, very, very basic things are provided to the players. And in that game, it's up to the players to discover and extract the resources from the environment. And for that, you can build specific things with it. So almost everything in the game that you find is player built and player owned.
Oh.
And the economy itself has been studied by a lot of many, many different schools of thought.
Interesting.
But basically, it is a hyper-capitalistic, almost anarchy level of capitalism, where it's like, oh, hey, you don't like the fact that, your neighbors are selling things cheaply over there? Go blow up their building.
Oh, wow. Oh, so very hardcore, I said
yeah.
before.
Yeah. You can hire mercenaries to go blow up their building that they're selling from, so you make all the profit.
Okay.
It's hyper-capitalist in that way, where the way you compete is very, very, very cutthroat, and even margins of like 0.1% are important. So...
But on the nicer side, I guess, that you can band together with other players to create a community or a team.
That's why the community is so important, because what can you do as one person with like limited resources that you have?
Exactly.
In a single player game or some MMORPGs doesn't really matter. But in EVE Online, in specifically like sandbox MMOs in general, it's so important that you find other players that you are able to pool resources with and like share things and be able to achieve the goals that you want.
Right.
If we're going to like more of my style of gameplay, for example, I was a very social player. I was like very involved in a player created community called Spectre Fleet. And what we would do is basically, because we found a niche of...
That's a cool name.
Yeah, Spectre Fleet. Yeah, I know, right? It's really cool. If you search the Spectre Fleet right now, you should still be able to find it. It's still an ongoing community, and that I'm really proud of that. Okay. Yeah, I was in the ground floor of a lot of that. In the game, there's this, we found this really, really important niche of like, for example, if a player is part of Alliance A and the player is part of Alliance B, and maybe they're allied together and they can't really like shoot each other and there's no fun, and maybe wars are kind of like infrequent, but people want to play the game, they want to shoot people. So like we created this little thing called Spectre Fleet, and it was like, hey, no matter what alliance you're in, maybe you're enemy alliances, but in this specific instance of you joining the event, you are allies. And we will band together and go out shooting people that are not part of this specific event. So it was called NPSI, not Purple Shoot It, because Purple are fleet members. So if you're not Purple, we will shoot you. So we just go around like hunting for people and like shooting people wherever.
Was like Group A red and Group B blue? Please tell me yes.
Kind of in that sense, yeah. Like, yeah.
So purple, I get it.
Yeah, if you're not purple, we will shoot you.
That's cool.
Yeah, but going back to like the economy, for example, because everything was player generated in that sense, you have like a really deep amount of ownership that's not really available in many, many different types of games. Yeah, like
that's neat though. I've never had anyone on to speak on this kind of gaming system. Is it very difficult for like an entry level player to go and experience?
It can be. I would say the new player experience has been improved by quite a bit, but I think it would be very, very challenging for a new person to step into it. Like, it would be very, very important to find someone that has played the game before to like introduce you to the game.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it is a very, very niche game. Even though it's been lasting for so long, it's been pretty successful. It really, really like finds a specific type of player. You really, really need to dedicate a lot of time into it if you really want to build a name for yourself and stuff like that. But basically, the amount of satisfaction you can get from this game is nothing you can find from anywhere else in the gaming industry, I would say.
I guess, adventure bonding. Is that what that is?
Yeah, kind of in that sense. Because it's such a huge video game, like you can be a part of an alliance of like thousands of like actual players.
Yep.
The biggest community event I was personally responsible for, like hundreds and hundreds of players, building the logistics chain to able to be like that kind of event. Okay, I need these players to be there on time for me to be like marshals.
Wow.
I need to be
it's coordinated.
Coordinate everything. I think that also like kind of built my sense of how to interact with specific events in real life. So video games in general, obviously depending on what type you play, really does build real life skill, really usable skills in that sense.
Yes,
maybe
I absolutely agree.
Pitch that to your parents maybe. And
logistics sounds really useful.
Yeah.
What did your parents think?
Oh, my parents think I was crazy.
Oh, they generally do when you describe this kind of stuff. I just describing Dungeons and Dragons way back in the day to my parents. They're like, what?
Why
But
don't they
so many
understand?
skills.
They understand now in a way because I was able to articulate it to them in that sense.
need
Like,
to
hey,
show them.
I'm learning these. I learned these skills because of this game. But when I was playing it, as a teenager, as a young adult, I couldn't really find a way to explain that in a language that they could understand.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're meeting these random people all around the world, doing all these things for what in their kind of language? Like, okay.
It's that reel. It's the reel that translates these skills into resume talk.
Yeah.
But why didn't they try it out with you? I would think that, if
My mom can't operate a mouse.
But even just sitting there and watching, like if I had a kid and they got really interested in something that was taking so much attention,
you would want to go with them.
Yeah,
and
I'd be like, wow,
it.
like you're excited about this. I want to feel that too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Parents out there, please pay attention to that particular sentiment.
Yeah.
If your kids are super into something, very passionate about some adventure they're on, you should participate. Jump in there with them.
At least try to like see it from their point of view. Like I think my mom especially had quite a big like change of view from like video games are just bad in general to be like, okay, maybe there's something here. When I showed her like, okay, this is what the event is. I have hundreds of people under my direct command to like do things and just not question anything I decide. She was kind of impressed by that.
Ooh.
And then it was like, okay, I think you know what you're doing.
Oh,
Just show them like, hey, like this is what I'm able to do because of what I have put into my passion. A lot of the older people understand, like, okay, like, hey, this is something that could translate into real life value, resume, like you said, resume talk, skills and stuff like that. You could use in real life.
It's all about the resume.
It is, right?
It's all about the job. Talk to them in that sense of, hey, this is what you can do, and
play video games and get a job in the video game.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
Thanks, Ricky, can help me so much about video games.
Yay.
And thanks, listeners, for tuning into Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang, and I'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Geek Out. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you're inspired to go have an adventure, video game or otherwise. For Sarah's pick for Song of the Episode, we have John Haller with Red Glowing Dust.